Hey, welcome to Your Bread and Butter podcast. I'm Andrew Beaudry.
And I'm Ryan Cummings.
Today we're going to be looking at grilling and gains, cooking up smart money moves for you.
If you want to avoid making mistakes with your money this summer, making the most of anything that's coming in, saving the most on what's going out, that's going to be today's podcast, discovering or talking through those tips and tricks to avoid getting burned.
You know, I tried to organize a barbecue for my vegan introvert friends. You know what happened?
I don't.
Nobody wanted to meet. Stay tuned.
Discussions in this show should not be construed as specific recommendations or investment advice. Always consult with your investment professional before making important investment decisions. Securities offered through Cambridge Investment Research Incorporated, a registered broker-dealer. Member FINRA SIPC. Advisory services through Cambridge Investment Research Advisors Incorporated, a registered investment advisor. Cambridge and Private Financial Design LLC are not affiliated.
Well, welcome back, everybody. We're going to begin our Your Bread or Butter podcast by saying to you this is an important episode, particularly if you want to eat well with your money.
Me merging the two, grilling and investing, your finances, the overall picture, talking about some tips, tricks, things you can do this summer to not only succeed over the grill, but succeed your finances and help things grow in the path they should be as we get through the remainder of the year.
Yeah, I really like your title, Grilling and Gains, Cooking Up Smart Money Moves. I know, I've learned a lot about grilling over the years, and I learned that I'm not a very good griller, but there's a lot of things you can make that apply to it. So let's talk a little bit through that. I mean, it's a real thing.
There's kind of a lot of similarities.
There
you can, use it as a metaphor, one for the other.
Sure.
And if you've ever, for example, rushed cooking a steak, you ruined it. Maybe you try to put the heat too high, you overcooked it. It can happen pretty quick. Steaks don't take a whole lot of time to cook. People do that with their money. Sometimes they rush to reach certain goals and make rash decisions, or you try to make that quick buck with that fancy investment and try to get the, cut down on time, where just like a good steak or, a good, roast that you're grilling, well, these things can sometimes take time, and you want to do it at the right pace.
Do it the right way. And sometimes people get too much heat going because they want to get it done quick, but you burn the outside and it's raw on the inside. It's sort of like impulse spending. You're like, okay, I want this now, chasing trends, things that are important to you. You're going to go after it. We're going to go after it. But if you burn it too fast on the inside, it still isn't cooked right.
I think the theme of today is going to be a lot like the proper discipline of grilling is discipline within your investments. Low controlled heat like you use on a grill. You want to be intentional when you're grilling. You want to be intentional when you're investing. And so we're going to talk about discipline investing, discipline budgeting, and discipline altogether around your finances.
And we're going to say today that we want to show you how to grill like a pro can actually make you have and be better with your money. Have more money and be better with your money. By the way, did you know what the charcoal said to the burger?
I don't.
You're on a roll today. Okay. Budget like a barbecue master. Yeah. Budget like a barbecue master is our first stopping point.
Yeah, that's the foundation of any financial plan is a strong budget. So as we were just mentioning, being intentional with your spending, having it under control, reducing your spending. It's not always having to cut out everything. We're not talking about, living a boring life and having to stay at home and, do nothing all the time just to save money, but being intentional with what you do. Picking and choosing your battles, doing what I like to call value budgeting, finding what you value most, maybe what you value least, and trying to pare that list down a little bit to save a little bit of money. It could mean, going out and making dinner making dinner a little bit more at home, buying groceries. It can mean making coffee at home rather than buying that cup of coffee, doing activities that are free, like going to the park, going to the library, and everything.
Oh, particularly in the summer, there's a lot of free concerts in a lot of local towns and villages. Get to enjoy those moments that are free, and actually the grandchildren or your children might love, kind of run around playing in the grass a little bit.
And speaking of those free places, I mentioned the library. Do you know a librarian's favorite thing to grill?
Not sure.
Shish kebabs.
Shoes? Yeah, stay quiet on that one. Well, listen, we'll go to our next one. And I know that you guys are all saying out there, like, okay, you guys should have like chef hats on, aprons.
That would have been a good plan for today.
Kind of like kiss the cook kind of thing here. But our next one is an important one. It's called Don't Burn It Until You Earn It. Budgeting mistakes, they resemble the grilling errors like flare-ups of overcooking or impulse buys and ignoring, what's going on the grill. Don't burn it until you earn it. Have the money, know where that money's coming from, so you don't have this big whopping credit card at the end of the summer. You're like, oh my goodness, what did I do to myself? How did that work? So you want to make sure you have a budget in place, even as you head through the summer, to make sure you stay in line with all your goals.
And I think to tie a whole budget together, it's having a plan. Being thoughtful about your budget, being just like with grilling, making sure you have an approach, you have all the ingredients in place. You don't have to be running back and forth from the grill to the kitchen to grab what you need, seasoning, utensils, this or that. You want to make sure everything's there and ready to go. And same with a budget. You want to make sure you have a plan in place and something that you're going to stick to as well. One strategy that I do like to advocate to a lot of our clients is a reverse budget. That's where you build a budget once instead of having to do it every single month or every single week. And then you figure out how much of that budget should you be saving. And as long as you're saving the amount you're supposed to, you don't have to track your spending week in and week out. It's, little things like that, having a plan that works for you, because that's often where I think people fall off the budgeting train.
Some people do like the details of budgeting.
They do.
And they use an envelope system or cans sometimes, things like that. And that's fine. If you're married to somebody or in a relationship with somebody and that's the way they like to do it, that's fine. You may not be that person. But if you're the person that just kind of throws their bills on the desk and then there's like Mount Everest of paperwork piling up, well, that's not good either. So you got to have a plan that fits your system. The next thing here is quality versus cost. You have to make smart investment choices, just like when you're buying the proper meat for grilling for your dinner.
Yeah, once you've budgeted and you've maybe got a little extra money, you want to begin investing. As we kind of alluded to at the beginning, you want to avoid the hype investments, the trendy things. A lot of times people get caught up in what's attractive now, trying to make a quick buck, and they miss out on the things that really have proven to give value over the course of history. Building well-balanced, well-diversified portfolios, having maybe a mix of growth stocks and dividend-paying stocks. Not focusing on any one investment is going to be key. So instead of going for the, this is related to grilling, instead of going for like the cheap cuts that maybe are cheap and easy to get, well, maybe it's worth, having something that's a little more like mid-grade.
Well, yeah, let me give you an example. There are times when people say, I don't want to buy that stock. It's $400 for that stock to own that stock. Well, I want to go buy a company that's $10 stock so I can buy more shares. Yeah, but when you pull and you look at that company and you see the value of that company at $10 a share and what they do and their numbers, and then you look at the company that's $400, yeah, you might not be able to own, 5 shares of the $400 one, and you might own a lot more, 200 of the other one, but this one's actually going to get you more money. Right. So you do want to look at your premium options, not just with meat, but with your investments as well.
Yeah, and that's where making sure you're having those premium options, choosing it along with your budget as well too. So that's the other side of it is, there can be value in buying maybe the more expensive steak, and you're going to get maybe a better product at the end of the day. But if also it doesn't fit in your budget, well, is that something that that works out at the end of the day? It's kind of the same with investing.